Welcome to the second part in our tutorial series, trueSpace for Illustrators, Introduction to 3D. Let's open our object library and bring in our finished perfume bottle object. And let's explore some of the material texturing capabilities in trueSpace. Opening up the material editor and expanding shows us a series of shaders, color, bump, and reflectance, as well as our material preview window, where changes that we make to the material show up in real time as we make the changes. Here, adjusting the color a few times to show you the effect and how it is shown instantly in the material preview window. So again, a lot of these shaders accompany trueSpace. You can add to the color shaders, personalize it yourself if you wish. There are different items available. Here, the bump shader. Let's adjust a few of the bump settings and show how the material preview brings those changes into view instantaneously in the material preview window. And again, the reflectance shader. Call up its panel. Again, here's a number of different shaders for reflectance that we can choose from, and making some changes here using the sliders: luminosity, diffuse, shininess, specularity, reflection, refraction. So all of these shaders will all combine to create one single material that you can use on the object itself, or perhaps a part of the object. Transparency is another shader that you have access to in trueSpace. Again, there is a variety of them that accompany trueSpace. Here you can see, as you select them instantaneously, the material preview shows. There's some different settings for transparency. It could be plain, a transparency map. Here's some adjustments to plain transparency, showing you the material becoming more transparent or less transparent as we activate it. So one of the capabilities of trueSpace is the ability to create libraries for materials, save those libraries. Here, let's open up the scene editor, and we'll open up our material library and use the glass material at the top, which we've created previously, to use on this bottle object. Here's some of the settings that were used to create this particular material. Again, this material is going to be in your resources folder, so no worries if we're going too fast for you to follow every single setting and every single item that we've changed. Here, faceted, auto facet, and smooth selection on our material editor determines how things will be painted with the current texture. The paint object will paint the entire object. Perhaps we wish to paint a face or paint over existing material, perhaps paint vertices. But we need the paint object here, so we'll paint the body of the bottle with our glass texture. And let's go for a quick render here to see how this translates to the finished object. So the very top part of this bottle is showing the glass. The liquid part of the object, we will use a pre-created liquid material. Here again, some of the settings that we used for this particular material. And we'll make one final adjustment here in the color and go with a slightly blue-green color that we will use to paint our liquid. So using the paint tool again, we'll paint that part of the bottle, give another quick render to show you how this translates into the finished object. And as you can see, we're getting some highlights from the color of the liquid through the upper portion of the glass that we created. Very comprehensive and in-depth set of material capabilities in trueSpace. Let's organize this and call this our top. With our top selected, we open our material library and select a plastic material that we've created, and we will paint the top of this bottle, the cap if you will, with this plastic material. Some of the settings we use to create the material, paint the object, and let's have another quick render to show you how the material looks when it's utilized on the object. And now with the top painted, we can actually make it become invisible, giving us access to the spray nozzle assembly. So let's select that spray nozzle assembly, and we're essentially going to paint it with the same plastic material that we used for the cap. So we'll adjust our view here and zoom in a little bit on this nozzle assembly and paint it. And again, give you a quick render of this particular spray nozzle object. And now what we'd like to do is paint the actual nozzle. So changing to a solid outline view, let's destroy the current selected material and very quickly create a matte black, if you will. And we'll paint the actual interior face of that nozzle using our paint face tool, and just paint that very inside face. Again, give you a quick render so you can see that it is indeed painted. And moving on, now let's select our label object, which is currently not exactly named properly. So let's organize here and name this part of the object label. Again, opening up our material library, selecting the material that we've created for this label. Notice this is a complex layered material. So we have more than one layer here. There's some transparency involved. There's a couple of different images involved. No bump, but a little bit of work on the reflectance shader. So again, the ability to duplicate, destroy, or add layers, make layers visible or invisible, all adds into the ability to create textures in trueSpace and apply them. So here a second image was used on this second layer. A little bit of transparency, some difference into the reflectance shader, all going in to create this label. So we'll paint our label. There you can see a painted label on the bottle. And let's do a render here to show you what the bottle looks like with the label applied. The label is not going to look 100% right yet, and the cause of this will end up being lighting. It's a little too bright in around the area of the label, but you'll see in our next tutorial how we can change that. So let's return to visibility, all the invisible parts of our object. Select the entire bottle object now. Give you a very close to finished look to the texturing on this particular object. And of course, once we've completed this phase of the modeling operation, we'll add this finished object into our library and rename this to something that's a little more meaningful to us. And once we've done that, it's time to move on to the next stage of our tutorial. So we'll see you in the next round of tutorial.